I gotta wait. How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
Welcome to the stand, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
I'm Dreme, a black woman with many beautiful interconnecting identities. A few I will name at this moment as we get started on this podcast journey together. A Bostonian, born and raised in the inner city, Dorchester and Roxbury neighborhoods, to a teenage single mother who has my whole heart. An educator, I've been working with youth and children since my teenage years, and formally, I have been teaching almost a decade now. That's wild to think about. An entrepreneur, I am the founder of The Chair, a black and brown centered tech platform dedicated to supporting people on their hair journey, where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a more joyous experience. I have a workable site, my prototype. It took me 2 years to build, and now I'm on this adventure that you're currently on with me. My goal for this podcast is to share stories, black stories, educator stories, entrepreneurship stories, and hair stories. I want you to leave each episode with the opportunity to gain new insight, just a glimpse into my world or the worlds that are featured on my podcasts, a little chuckle during your day or night, possibly a little anger to encourage you to advocate for justice, and hope to continue learning and dreaming. So come in and listen to the beautiful voices in the chair as they share their stories, starting with me.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Kelly. Kelly, can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. I'm Kelly Corrigan. I am a friend and a fan of Dreme. I write books, mostly about different seasons of family life. I have a television show on PBS called Tell Me More, where Dreme was a guest. And I have a podcast called Kelly Corrigan Wonders that we've been doing for about 4 years now. We have hundreds of episodes.
Yes.
And we look at things in little series. So we did a series on what is well-being and how do you get it? And if you ever are able to get it, how do you keep it? We've done series on the worst advice we've ever gotten, like the kind of conventional wisdom that should be roundly questioned. We've done series on rupture and repair, meaning stories where people almost broke up or went to war and then pulled back from the edge and trying to surface the principles and practices that make repair possible. We've done series on a book you were assigned in high school that had super powerful impact on your thinking, et cetera, et cetera. So that's probably where I spend the majority of my time is podcasting, because we release 3 episodes every week. So that takes a considerable amount of mind share. And then I'm a mom. I have 2 kids, 21-year-old girl who's about to be a senior in college at UVA, and then a kid who is not quite 23, who just finished her first year of work in New York City as a banker. And I live half the year in Manhattan and half the year in Bozeman, Montana. I feel a sense of shame sometimes as a white person.
Why?
Because there's just, what a history. What a sickening history.
But why does it have to
You
stop?
know?
I understand shame, guilt, it's your ancestors, but it's not yours necessarily to be able to be like, this can't stop me from being better.
For sure. And it doesn't stop me. But I don't know. There have been times I went down to EJI, Equal Justice Initiative in Alabama with Brian Stevenson, and I had 6 hours one-on-one with him because we were filming a PBS episode. In fact, it was our very first PBS episode, which is why we filmed for 6 hours, because we were terrified to come home and not have everything we needed. So we just wore them out. We were there for 3 hours one day and 3 hours the next day. But, a lifetime high for me to get to spend that much time with somebody who's that just impactful and high integrity and insightful. And I was riveted. And you walk around those exhibits and, or you read, I don't know, I was just reading Souls of Black Folk for a podcast we were doing Ta-Nehisi Coates
It's good
will
books.
do it to me. I mean, even To Kill a Mockingbird, which was the first novel that I really loved in seventh grade. And you just think, ugh, like, what is wrong with these people? And when I went to Central High School, the first time I went to Little Rock with my boyfriend, now husband of 25 years, he was like, I want to show you my high school. And also there's this museum attached to it to tell the story of the Little Rock Nine. And there's this photograph, and they also had it at EJI in Alabama, of this, one of the Little Rock Nine who's in her poodle skirt and her saddle shoes and her bobby socks and her little braids, and just totally adorable kid going to school. And in the background are these sickening chorus of faces that are like captured mid-scream, and they all have their fingers pointing at her and their mouths are bare and they look like rabid animals. And like, when you look at that picture, I think, like, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? And Edward, my husband, said, people drove from 4 states away to yell at these 9 kids as they walked into our high school. And it's like, what is that? What is it to have your whole life animated by this ignorance and hatred? That's just an incredible animating force. And I don't know, I feel ashamed of the whole sickening thing. It's so off. It's just so wrong. It's so dumb. It's so small. It's so ignorant. It's ignorant. And I wish that, I don't really think of white people as my people, honestly. I don't think in those terms. I don't even know what I would think of as my people.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I feel more like that's a bigger part of my identity. But whenever I'm in one of those texts or one of those spaces or one of those conversations, I think, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with us? It's a deeply discouraging feeling.
And I hear that because I think there are times where I have so much frustration when it comes to white people that don't want to try. I was having this conversation with my grandmother. I call her Nana. And I was asking my Nana about how she's about to turn 80. And I was asking her how she's not angry all the time because of history. Like, she grew up in Alabama. There used to be a siren that would go off when the emergencies. And so when the KKK were around, the siren would go off. She remembers watching the first Black person walk into the University of Mississippi as a student. My grandmother has all these memories. And when she said the anger, she said, you just can't let it stop you. And so when I think about white people who have that shame or have that guilt, I'm like, if anger can't stop me, then the guilt has to not stop them, because they have to want to learn, to get to know people in front of me. People keep asking me all the time how I can be in white spaces. I always say that I want to get to know the person in front of me, and their whiteness is a part of that. For me, it can't be separated because it's a part of them, even if they don't want to hold on to it, admit it, see its existence.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Look, it's my commercial. We will be right back.
It's more than just a bad hair day. It's a journey. Finding the right hairstyle isn't easy, nor is finding the right stylist or the right products. Looking in every corner of the web gets messy, overwhelming, and exhausting. All the ads, the articles, the products, the videos, it shouldn't be this hard, but it is. And now, it isn't. The Chair. A black and brown centered platform where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a new joyful path on your hair journey. Avoid the clutter, save yourself hours, months, and even years of research and poor trial and error. Everything you need and only what you need is in one place. Hairboards made by people like you, for you. Find the right products, the right people, the right answers for you. Stress-free. Join The chair. Community and make every day a great hair day. When you share your pain, you allow others to help you. And when you share your success, you help others get theirs. Lean on the chair. We got you. No stress, no strife. In the chair. The chair. The chair. All right.
Oh, and if you're interested to learn more about my experiences as a Black woman and educator in Guangzhou, China, I wrote my first ebook titled Nowhere and Everywhere, Captured Emotions of a Beautifully Broken Love Story. It is on lulu.com. Take a read and see some beautiful photography of mine. Enjoy the rest of the show.
The chair.
I joined in college a predominantly white sorority, and at the same time, I was also a member of United Black Association. And friends would be like, how can you do both? And I was like, at my sorority, there was a level of comfort. I had nightly conversations with white Jewish women, white women who grew up in red states, and white women who identified as Republican, and just all these different types of whiteness that were new for me. And being able just to be like, hey, I'm trying to understand you as a person and also understand where you're coming from and who you are and who you want to be. But it's because I wanted to see them, right? And I feel like there's a lot of white people who don't want to see me. They don't want to see me, and they don't want to hear me because they don't want to value me.
I like seeing you.
Mm.
I value you. I feel like if I said something that bothered you, you would be able to address it in a way that didn't humiliate me or end the conversation. And I feel grateful for that, because the odds of me getting something slightly wrong or not expressing myself perfectly feel kind of high. So I don't feel like you would let it pass without noting it.
Mhm.
And that feels like an investment to me. I think that's how I receive that is, I'm going to tell you that the thing you just said can land a little funny, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm telling you that is because I'd like to keep talking to you rather than I'm just going to roll my eyes on this side of this blind call
Yeah.
and hang up and be like, holy shit, that woman is such a nincompoop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's great to listen to you.
No,
I'm glad you're doing a podcast.
Thanks. No,
I am. I'm glad you're in the game.
Oh my goodness. No, yeah, I appreciate that. No, I think about this all the time because I'm like, for us to be better as a people, all of us have to have the conversation when it comes to identity, when it comes to gender. And I'm having more conversations I think a lot about during the revival of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020. There was a lot of white people who were reaching out to me, which I opened myself to for that investment. And a lot of my Black friends were like, Dreme, stop. And I'm like, I can handle this at this moment. I can do this. But then there was also the status that were like, straight Black people are not doing enough for the queer Black community. And I was like, all right, that is my responsibility to be better, to learn more, to be able to be as supportive for them as they are for us. And I keep thinking about that in terms of white people being like, okay, well, you make a mistake, you learn from a mistake, and you teach another white person to do better. You teach yourself to do better. It's holding Black people to the standard to always correct you or hold Black people to be like, okay, well, I made this mistake, but don't hurt my feelings while you correct. That is a tall order for Black people who may not always have the energy to be able to have the right words, to be like, no,
Totally.
I don't like this word choice that you used, or, hey, I don't know how to say this softly, and I'm saying that.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm sure it's totally exhausting. I mean, I feel that way as a woman sometimes, where it's like, oh my God, I know I'm not supposed to roll my eyes, and I know I'm not supposed to just wait until you leave and then talk about you behind your back. But oh my God, I cannot believe what I just heard you say to my daughter. I mean, that's my only access point where it's like I'm part of a group where there's tons and tons of assumptions. about what we're good at and what we can't handle, and spaces where we make perfect sense and spaces where it's like, well, I wouldn't want a woman in that job. And I can feel that what you're saying about not always having the energy to be a teacher, to keep bringing everybody along.
When you can and cannot be invisible. Whiteness is a culture, but whiteness is considered the norm, and whiteness can be invisible. When you choose not to think about this, you can choose to be invisible. I cannot turn off my blackness in certain spaces. It's just, right. I cannot choose to be invisible. And I feel like the way you talk, you can't be invisible as a woman, but maybe there's some growth there in terms of your whiteness, being like, well, I don't want to think about this right now, but being like, well,
totally.
What if I could think about this today? How would I engage myself in this conversation? What would that do for me? Or what would it do for the white person sitting next to me who says something reckless and you're like, man, you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. I think that's probably the ultimate privilege. Is just not having to think about it all the time. And that's what I was hearing when I was at Spelman. Is we're on this very special island for a very short period of time where we don't have to factor that into every word that comes out of our mouth and every outfit we put together in the morning and every way that we respond to the culture is not going to be evaluated here. And maybe that's what I was feeling in Tanzania. It's like, God, it's just like how nice it must be to not have to be the Black person in the room all the time.
Yeah. My study abroad was in Tanzania, and I happened to be in a group that I was the only Black person. There were a couple other people of color, but majority white. And I was mistaken often, at least once every other day, as their tour guide. And so it was always, even thinking about me being on the continent, and that was my first time on the continent too, when I went to Tanzania. It was still such this different experience. I loved it. I ended up getting tatted because of it, but it was always the conversation of like, who are you? But being able to say, hey, we love you, even though you're not from here, but you look like us, so we love you. And I think that was something special that I will carry with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I'm friendly with Mbolo Mbue. She's a novelist, and she's from Cameroon. And she said, I didn't know I was Black until I landed at Newark Airport when I was 17 years old to go to college. And I didn't know what poor was either. Like, we don't have people on the street begging who nobody knows their name. We have people that don't eat that much and people who don't have shoes, but they're not interpersonally impoverished. They are part of communities and they have relationships and people care about them. And if they need something, people help them. We don't have these abandoned people, these nameless people that nobody will even make eye contact with. So I'd never seen that kind of poverty until I came to the United States.
I remember in high school, we all have a guidance counselor. You know, you're having a hard time, they send you to the guidance counselor. And I had to go to the guidance counselor, and I was talking about, my experiences in high school. I was doing really well at the time, but I was still very nervous about school, thinking about college, all the things. And my guidance counselor said to me, he was like, hey, everybody around you right now, including your mom and aunts and things, he was like, they're all single mothers? And I was like, yes. He was like, everybody? And I said, yes. And I was like, why is this an important detail to him? At the time, I was like, why? Okay, what does this mean? But he needed to name it for himself to understand the dynamic that I was coming from, to be able to be like, well, this is our family. This is my family. My aunts, if I got in trouble by my mom, I got in trouble by my aunts after too. It was never just a one conversation. I had 4 conversations if I got in trouble. Even though I grew up with one biological sister, I felt like I grew up with 12 people because we were always at each other's houses. And when someone couldn't get picked up from school, my mother would pick them up.
Right. And that's the community and connection and belonging. It's just very different than the kind of poverty that we allow other Americans to fall into.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for sharing your stories in the chair I truly appreciate
My pleasure.
it. I truly
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Yeah, anytime. I'll talk to you whenever you want.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories in the chair. It means the most.
Good luck with it. It's cool. It's really cool. I'm proud of you.
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
Thank you for listening to an episode of The Chair. I, of course, would love your continued support. Let me know what you think of this episode by doing all the things. Subscribe, comment, and come back next week, every week. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful day. Or if you are like me, enjoy that moonlight and that one star under all your city lights. Love you. Talk to you later.
The chair.
How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
We support her. Shit.
Do your Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story. Where we share